Hello everybody, this is Shady here, and we are back with Final Fantasy XVI. So, let's go in there. Take out these bandits.
Ha! Golden Stable's my ass. All Martha's hiding back here is coppers.
Guys, let's do this a nice way.
That's a fine sword, friend. Heavy though.
But obviously, we got to kick these guys' asses.
We relieve you of it.
And yeah, don't expect them to be too strong.
I want that blade. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, because they're just like normal dudes, aren't they? Really, so.
That's enough.
And thankfully, we're not gonna like destroy this area. Yeah, very easy to beat. So don't worry about him. Hey. Yeah. Basically get nothing for doing that.
I'll be keeping my blade, thank you.
There he is! The hero of the Golden Stables!
People will think twice about pushing us around again, thanks to you. We're lucky you were nearby.
No problem.
No good cowards wouldn't have dared set foot in the place if I'd been here, of course.
But you weren't. I thought you told me you had someone watching the place.
The Blood Axes keep an eye on the tavern, yeah. When they're not busy keeping the peace, that is. I've spread them as thin as they'll go. The Empire might be in charge, but that don't mean they care to keep us safe. If it weren't for the Blood Axes and me, merchants won't come near these lands for fear of what might happen to them.
I see. Then you do Rosaria a great service.
Just as you did today. You're a useful man to have around. Here.
And there'll be a mug of something tasty waiting for you whenever you next stop by.
Right.
Thanks.
We've got work to do for to make this place presentable.
That girl sounds a bit like
Let's be going.
Ginny
Before
Weasley
I
or something from
leave
Harry
them
Potter.
up.
Quest complete. Very nice. Okay.
There he is, the man of the hour.
Thanks. Okay, where's our lad Gav? Open. Oh my god. Map. World map. Speak to Gav. Hello. How you doing, mate?
Well, someone's in a hurry.
Just following orders.
That's my job, isn't it?
Hey, I never took you for the type.
Can't all be as obedient as you, Gav.
Eh?
Fine day for a little mischief, wouldn't you say?
Is this all of us?
This is the
Actually, Gav
gang.
won't be coming.
Hey.
Just the three of us,
I
then.
guess Gav can't always come, can he?
Drake said is the keystone of the Empire. Oriflamme's in chaos, yes, but that doesn't mean we can march an army through her gates. The fewer our numbers, the better our chances of going unnoticed.
True that.
And should that plan fail, well, we have our icons to fall back on.
Hopefully we don't have to do that, though.
I don't know if I can. Ifrit still seems to come and go as he pleases.
Ordinarily, priming an icon comes naturally to a dominance. But then, you are no ordinary dominance.
Yeah, obviously, you know, they're kind of setting up something a bit different about his dominant, if you haven't noticed already.
Sucked out of Garuda.
But,
And did I ever tell you about
yeah, obviously, it's kind of obvious because he was able to absorb Garuda as well, wasn't he? So that obviously shows that he's not your normal, I mean, yeah, because he is the main character and all that.
Try not to find out.
We're less likely to be spotted if we travel separately.
Yeah, so
I'll meet you in Northreach in a few days.
basically,
You two behave now.
I was just trying to record this episode and then I realised I opened up the wrong save, so I went like 5 minutes. And I was discussing Final Fantasy II, so yeah, that kind of threw me off. But I want to get into that again now, talk about the game, because essentially, what I want to talk about when it comes to Final Fantasy II. So, essentially, obviously, you know, Final Fantasy I, the original game,
We're meeting in
was...
Will I find Sid and Jill before this dame?
It was obviously kind of make or break for Square Enix. Sorry, I love telling the story about Final Fantasy, so yeah, bear with me. I mean, the whole point of this is to have commentary anyway, isn't it? So, but yeah, so the first game was kind of Square Enix's kind of last hope. That's why it's called Final Fantasy. I'm sure everyone knows that. It's kind of a known fact, I suppose. But they essentially, you know, it was make or break. It was just Sakaguchi, Amatsu, and like, I can't remember his name, something Nasir, just some one dude programming the game. And thankfully it was a success, which led to them doing a sequel basically a year later in Final Fantasy II. But what's really cool about Final Fantasy II, even though it's a weird one because it's kind of considered like the black sheep, and I think a lot of people kind of say it's one of their worst games. I mean, yeah, I think I had it as like the lowest ranked out of all of them, or one of anyway. Well, no, it was kind of low down on my ranking anyway, but it's not the worst Final Fantasy game. It just isn't at all. But yeah, it's very interesting because they did this. Essentially, they kind of took a very kind of experimental approach. So basically, Final Fantasy II has this strange system where you basically have to... Ow! Game! You basically have to, like, your stats kind of grow with what you do. It's almost a bit like Skyrim, I guess, is the best way to describe it. I mean, that's the closest thing. Or like Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's very strange because, you know, it was kind of ahead of its time when you think about those games in particular. But essentially, yeah, like you attack, your strength goes up. You get hit, your HP goes up. You defend, your defense goes up. You use a spell, that spell goes up. And like, yeah, it's a very like interesting system. And obviously because of that, people see it as a bit, you know, not quite as good as like a 1 or 3. Even though I think it's pretty interesting. And I think it's a cool game. But yeah, the main reason I also was bringing it up is because, yeah, it's kind of the game that started the whole, like, you know, Final Fantasy's kind of Star Wars influences, if you will, because it was basically, you know, it was basically just the plot of Star Wars in a Final Fantasy game. So yeah, you had, you know, it's basically fighting off against an empire. You got rebels who kind of escape from the clutches of an empire, join a resistance group, and defeat the emperor at the end. Yeah, really, you know, interesting game. There's even a bit where you literally go into like what is their version of the Death Star, but it's like an airship. And yeah, it's a really cool game because it has a little bit more story elements than the first game, and it also gives well, I like how I thought that enemy was going to be tough. It was kind of easy as hell. Yeah, it's a really cool game, I think. Where was that? Yeah, like I said, it's a really cool game. It has a pretty good battle system. I'm not going to bother finding that one. Yeah, it's...
Northreach.
Yeah, I like that. Like I said, because it you know, it was very ahead of its time with the development system, and like I was trying to say, it was like, it's the reason why it's funny when people complain about Final Fantasy, you know, not being the same, because from the second game it's kind of been weird and experimental. And it's just like a standard thing for the series. You know, it started off where, you know, Final Fantasy 1, you just select your former party members' jobs. They're like, you know, completely. There's no story and all that. So yeah, we're looking for someone in there. And yeah, it's a really interesting game. You know, nothing better than what we have. What was this? Ah, yeah, you can buy music in the game if you want. But yeah, that's the sort of thing you do near the end of the game. You have like a lot of money. All right. Yeah, because obviously we're a slave. The country and is like, you know, a slave. Yeah, they don't want to serve me. Yeah, like I was saying, it's a you know, it's kind of just a part of the series doing things differently. Final Fantasy 2 had that different development system. Final Fantasy 3 had the job system as the first one to introduce it. You know, 4 became more of a story-driven game. You know, 5 had a even more advanced version of the job system, and then so on and so forth. You know, it's just, you know, did people complain when Final Fantasy 7 went 3D? You know what I mean? Or like had more of a futuristic setting? Like, it's just so strange. But as I was saying, Final Fantasy 2, I think, is at least worth trying. Don't listen to what people say. It really isn't the worst game in the series or anything like that. I think every game has its kind of, you know, there's something to appreciate about each game. And I think the kind of seeing basically a fantasy take on, or a more traditional fantasy take on Star Wars is kind of interesting. But yeah, that's kind of where it began. And a lot of the kind of, you had a few of the tropes, like Chocobos were first introduced in Final Fantasy 2 as well, which was kind of cool. I think you even have summons in that game. There was like, I think there's Night Muse that allows you to summon an enemy or something like that. Yeah, so obviously summons probably became a thing in 3 though.
Why would you?
Yeah, as we can see, this lady's kind of helping us out.
Because that's what we do.
I think she's a
Sid did me a kindness when no one else would.
yeah, I think she's like a lady of the night, or I don't know what. Maybe not. But yeah, as you can tell, another lady who you know,
where I am today.
has ties to Sid. So yeah, I just love that element of his character. Like, he's a proper ladies' man. Basically, like the James Bond of the Final Fantasy world or something.
To the final obstacle between you.
Yeah, 2 is the one that introduced Sid as well. I love that that's a thing as well. Like, that Sid is always this character in each game, and the different version of him. Yeah, what is amazing though is, I'm sure people know this, but in the Empire, not the Empire, the Phantom Menace, Star Wars Episode 1, they actually had a character called Sid as like a nod to Final Fantasy, which is kind of cool. So it kind of went full circle in a way. Because I'm assuming Lucas must have thought it was cool that they liked him, or that you know, the Final Fantasy guys really liked Star Wars. But yeah, another kind of thing I'm sure most people don't know about when it comes to the history of Final Fantasy is the success of Dragon Quest is obviously the reason why, or was one of the biggest inspirations for them doing what they did with Final Fantasy. Yeah, and obviously, you know, if you don't know, this year we got the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 2D HD remakes of awesomeness coming out. I would imagine by the end of the year or something. Yeah, it's really interesting because I've never actually played those games. Like, I love Final Fantasy, but I've just not been able to get into Dragon Quest, and that's something I really want to get rectify. And obviously, you know, Dragon Quest 1 in particular is part of my bucket list. And yeah, thankfully they're doing this remake because I'm going to be able to basically experience the best version of it, which is cool. Obviously it's very old school, isn't it, with that game? Like, you only have one character and like you really have to grind and stuff. And yeah, it's basically like the Dragon Quest thing is grind in an area until you're able to just power through enemies, and then that means you're able to move forward. Yeah. I mean, I love I love JRPGs, love the whole grindy aspect of it. Like, I actually really like that. I find it kind of therapeutic. Like, it's very strange. I remember, you know, when I was younger, spending hours just grinding in games, like, endlessly. Yeah, it's kind of a bit strange. Oh my god, swearing again. As you can tell, this is a very edgy Final Fantasy game. I mean, saying that, Barrett did swear a lot in Final Fantasy VII. It's just they blurred it, didn't they? You actually hear him swear in the remakes, don't you, I think? Even though they kind of changed him a little bit. What is amazing, though, is in the 7 remake and Rebirth, Barrett has low-key become, like, the best character. It's just so cool. Especially in Rebirth, where, like, him and Red 13's bromance is, like, the coolest thing ever. It's like, I always liked Barrett, but obviously there was... It's a weird thing with him because... yeah, you know... There was elements of him that was kind of like a stereotype, because I guess Japan, well, he had no kind of, or at that time at least, they had no experience with like African American characters or just black people in general. So, you know, they kind of took from what they knew. I mean, it's kind of like that with not just that, you know, number of any non-Japanese races, I suppose. Yeah, because obviously he is kind of like, he's basically just Mr. T in a Final Fantasy game, even though there is a little bit more depth to his character, there's no denying that. Just that's more the surface, isn't it? But in one thing that even though like I have my kind of, there's things about the remake games that I don't like, you know, which I'll get into another point maybe, but the one element that I think is amazing is the characterization and kind of the amount of depth you can add to the characters because of just simple fact that you're voicing them, and that we have these games being longer now, having more time with them, and just like the kind of inter-character banter, which is kind of introduced in 13, I guess, and all those little bits, like you can just kind of add so much more depth to the characters, just like, and little nuances and all sorts, just through standard gameplay, just like little comments they make and stuff. It's really cool. One of my favorite elements of modern gaming and modern Final Fantasy in particular. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one with the with 7 remake and Rebirth, because I think like I said, the characterization is great, the gameplay is awesome. I really like the attention to detail in all of the kind of fan servicey type elements, if you want to call that, or like those nods to the original. Like, there's one element, spoiler alerts obviously, not that anyone really watches these videos, but in case you do, I mean, I do get some views. I get upwards of 20 plus views a video, you know, that's amazing for me. But anyway, yeah, so this, I thought it was very strange, but basically there's a bit with Red 13 when you arrive at Cosmo Canyon, his voice changes, like he goes from having like the kind of cool gruff voice to sounding more like a kid. Yeah, it's apparently, I thought it was really stupid, but apparently that was the case in the original Japanese version. And it's kind of like,
she must trust you.
It was like, you know, just a thing that they just didn't translate over, because basically, from what I heard, there's a way of writing dialogue to imply that it's the dialogue of someone who's younger or less mature, and that's something that you can't translate over into English, or not so easily. Maybe you can change the text or something. You know, it's a little nuance that was lost in translation, and it's so freaking cool that they changed that for the remake. It's like, that level of detail is incredible, and and the strength of those remakes. But for me, the real issue is all the kind of Nomura Kingdom Hearts bullshit, I like to call it. You know, I mean, I went from saying I wasn't going to talk about the game to going in depth about it now, but yeah. But basically, it's all the, you know, the fact that they decided to make it into 3 games and kind of extend it
Exactly what I'd be assisting.
to, like,
Forgive me.
a tremendous more amount of the length. Like, for example, part 1 of the remake is about as long as the original game, isn't it? So if you're going to extend it that amount, because like remake and rebirth together, main story is probably about 150 hours or so, maybe 100-ish hours, and then you've got another game. And with doing that, it's like, it's so obvious that they decided on that, and then they realized, fuck, there's really not much story to pad out into 3 games. So the games are so full of padding, so full of like just kind of meaningless stuff, just to clearly designed to pad the runtime and to kind of keep people hooked. Like, there's all this kind of, the reason why I call it Kingdom Hearts bullshit is there's all the dumb multiverse crap just to have people guessing between games, and it's almost like it's designed for the fans who like obsess over these things. I mean, I'm a bit of I'm someone who has a bit of an obsessive personality and can be hyper focused on things as well. Part of being neurodivergent, I guess. But yeah, even for me, it's too strange. Like, yeah, and there's the men in robes, and I mean, which was in the original, no, but that's a kind of Nomura staple. And then there's, like I said, the multiverse stuff, and there's all the just all the added stuff, just clearly designed to have people discussing it and to kind of make the runtime longer. Very just kind of stuff that I don't think really adds much to the story, and ultimately kind of, to me, I think my biggest gripe is that so far anyway, I don't think Part 3 is going to change much, but it's just telling,
Where's your master anyway?
for the most part, it's telling the same story but worse.
Didn't know he had his own bearer.
Because there's I feel like there's a lot of tonal changes and things like that, just kind of really kind of take away from the original experience. And the reason, I mean, it's kind of complimentary as well, because that's kind of what they were going for. Like, the original is its own thing, and this kind of part why they, I guess, introduced the multiverse, and it's like, this remake trilogy is kind of added on top of it, and it's its own separate thing. It exists alongside it, I suppose. Because I think it's basically a sequel, not really a remake, from what I know, and I think that element's cool, because it allows them to do what they want. It's just that, and I don't have a problem with them changing things necessarily, it's just that a lot of the changes are not that great, or are the worst parts of the game, unfortunately. It's just a lot of, like, inconsistencies, and just, like, all of the extra characters that added, I don't like at all. Like, I find them so irritating. And yeah, it's still really good, though. I still really love both games. And, I mean, I started a Final Fantasy VII remake playthrough, and I will go through that again. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to Part 3. I didn't say that, but I'm saying it now. But yeah, it's still good. I still think you should play it. Battle system is amazing. Easily the best battle system in a Final Fantasy game. And one thing I will say about Rebirth is I think it's the blueprint, or it's kind of the framework that Final Fantasy should be taking moving forward. Even though I like 16, and I don't mind them doing something a bit more like this, but I like that you have the big overworld, you have the towns, because like in Rebirth, like the world design is so good, because you'll have a town, and you have a region to explore. I would say the side quest design needs to be kind of changed a bit. Like, I don't like the kind of world intel thing. Don't have that. But yeah, I just like the way they did that. These giant bustling towns, and then sorry, Toggle. Yeah, giant bustling town, and then a cool little area to explore around it. Ah, good boy. Then yeah, the general side quests are good. It's just the world intel stuff wasn't the best. And Chadley's really annoying as well. It's like he wasn't annoying enough, so they made him speak to you at every bloody corner in Rebirth.
Somewhere the gate guards won't be paying him or his affairs
but
any mind.
Still a good game. And like I said, it should be kind of, I think, for the battle system as well, I really think they should stick with that instead of Like, I like what they've been doing with the action stuff, but I feel like they've got it down with that. Like, I think if it's going to be a single character combat system, go with the 16 style, but if you're going to have multiple characters in a party, which I want them to do with 17, then go for the Rebirth battle system. And what's great about Rebirth is there's a lot of depth in it as well. Like, you kind of, you have to switch between party members to kind of increase the ATB gauge so you can do their attacks, either magics or abilities. And I really like that. I'd love to see that with the job system as opposed to like the materia system. That'd be so cool. Right, let's travel back. Always forget about that option. Okay. Obviously, yeah, we're going to get all these side quests done.
I believe these are yours.
There you go. Have fun with that, mate.
The Dame will be pleased.
Of course.
Say.
You don't bloody
Would you be
say.
pleased to learn what you had to exchange for those items?
Crystals. No need to be coy, my boy.
Why not just tell me in the first place?
Yeah.
An honest man wears deception like shackles about his ankles. I couldn't risk you stumbling under the gaze of the guards. After all, we both know the punishment for dealing in unsanctioned crystals, even such morsels as I provide.
Oh.
And if you don't know,
So you need a
need
license for crystals, do you? What was this, Final Fantasy 12?
Despite the risk, our friends beyond the wall gladly give their finest and most treasured wares for the paltry crumbs I trade in.
Ooh.
I didn't realize crystals were so scarce here.
As scarce as chocobo teeth, hence the thriving market for even the scantest fragments. Do you think it
Yeah, so,
from the hardship of
yeah,
others?
I think you're doing what you believe.
Bit
is
of,
necessary.
obviously,
Indeed.
interesting little bit of gaming
I don't
news,
doubt
but,
the Dane would agree.
obviously,
A reward for a job
in a
well
couple of
done.
days' time on
I
Wednesday,
have the goods I was
2nd of
commissioned
April,
to gather, and the
we are
guards are none the wiser.
finally
I thank
going to get
you.
all the details on the Switch
As
2.
will our mutual friend
Can't bloody
when
wait
she
for.
hears of how you have
Yeah, there's nothing like the hype of a new console, especially a new Nintendo system, because it's very strange because I was never the biggest Nintendo fan, but like in terms of the home consoles, like I always had a PlayStation pretty much, but obviously as I got older, I got all of the systems. I've always loved their handles though, and yeah, my personal favorite was always the Game Boy. I got a Game Boy Color because of well, it was for my 13th birthday, I believe it was. My sister was really nice and bought me a Game Boy Color. I had to basically, because grew up in a family where there was 5 kids. Parents couldn't buy us all everything that we wanted, so I had to basically ask my sister, who was working because she was older than me, to buy it for me. So she got me that, and I think it was like I got Wario Land 3 and Knockout Kings 2000 or something. I think it was called. I can't remember. There was a little boxing game. Yeah, I loved the hell out of both those games. I still have that Game Boy Color. It's just, it was like the teal one, so it was a really cool color. Unfortunately, it kind of is a little bit busted. The power switch is kind of busted, so I need to get it fixed, though. It's so cool. And then, obviously, I didn't get the Game Boy Advance, but I did emulate Game Boy Advance. And then I bought a DS and 3DS. And obviously got a Switch. And yeah, I think like the Switch, I really think there is it's in the conversation of maybe the greatest console I've made. It's probably Nintendo's best console, easily. Combining both the home and handheld devices into one was like the most genius bloody thing they did, especially after the failure of the Wii U. And obviously, the success of the 3DS kind of cemented that as well, didn't it? The failure of the Wii U and the success of the 3DS, and they thought, you know what, we'll just have one system. And yeah, it's I know a lot of people have been complaining that the Switch has lasted too long, which I don't agree with. I think it lasted long enough, and I'm happy for them to support the system for a few more years. I mean, we even got games coming out next year. I mean, we had the direct last week for the final Switch direct. There was even there was games announced for next year. And yeah, we still got some good games this year. Yeah, Metro Prime 4 and the new Pokemon game, Rido remaster, and loads of cool ones. Yeah, I'm really hyped for the Switch too, and I love the fact that, you know, it's so good that they're playing it safe, just like how they did with, you know, Game Boy to Game Boy Advance, where it's just a straight upgrade. I really like that, you know, bit bigger, more powerful, hopefully more durable Joy-Cons. Yeah, I think the slightly bigger screen's great because, like, after playing the PlayStation Portal, like I'm like all for having a bigger screen because, like, that's like, I think it's like 10 inches, so just about the same size as the Portal. And yeah, just being a little bit bigger, it's so much better for portable play. Obviously, yeah, you know, it's going to be, yeah, being that bit bigger is going to make it a bit more difficult for kind of the whole on-screen thing or whatever. Almost saying the on-screen thing. It's going to be a bit more awkward for, like, younger kids, isn't it? But obviously, once that Switch OLED comes out, it'll be better, I think.
I have something for you.
Yeah, as you can see, these people, these bearers, have to, unfortunately, you know, they have a bit of a bad life, don't they?
From the Chamberlain. Thank you.
Oh, this is so messed up, isn't it?
You need to leave. Now. Please.
Branded! Who told you to rest? Stoke those damn flames! And you! If you've got a message for me, out with it. If not, return to your post.
Do I got a message from him? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we can't really do anything with it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's moments like that really, bloody hell, man, they hit with the feels, don't they? So, okay, we can go here now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, man. That's just too much, having all these...
You look like you need a rest. Half as much as I need this.
Man, I mean, it is just... I mean, I don't mean to get too deep now, but
where anyone might see.
The fact that there was ever slavery in this world is just... It's sickening, isn't it, when you think about it?
Me and many others.
And it's not even that long ago before it was abolished. I mean, there's still, like, technically slavery going on anyway, isn't it, really, in a lot of ways, you know, from, you know, certain employment. You know, when you hear about people 0-hour contracts, or in certain countries, they basically, you know, they have migrants coming in and basically just overwork them. Like, you know, I don't mean to get too, like, all political or anything like that, but, you know, there was a lot of controversy around, well, essentially a lot of places in the Middle East, they still kind of essentially have, well, people from my part of the world, Southeast Asians, as, like, almost a lower class of people, and they essentially use them for slave labor. I mean, it technically isn't, because they do pay them something, but they work them to the bone, and they treat them like shit. Yeah, Dubai being one of the kind of prime examples of that. But I won't talk too much about that. It's too bloody depressing. Let's go back to more jovial stuff, shall we? Okay, I'll talk more about the Switch. But obviously, yeah, the Switch 2, I think will, ultimately, I don't think it's going to be quite as successful as the Switch 1, but I think it will probably still be good.
All right. Are you here for business or pleasure?
Bit of both. My business is pleasure.
The Chamberlain put me to work delivering food.
Ah, so he found someone to help him.
Yeah, anyway.
Just as well.
So
I hear his
my little
friends
predictions.
back at court have been
I
taking a
think
little too much interest
I
in them
expect
lately.
So he really
for
is a
Wednesday anyway.
champion.
Obviously, I'm gonna do a video after talking about it. But yeah, I expect pricing wise, I expect the Switch 2 to be around 400, maybe just under. Could end up being, I'm gonna say 389, about 100 quid more than the base Switch. Also, I think they're going to probably finally cut the price of the original Switch. That's one thing that still blows my mind. That Switch one never had a price cut. Isn't that insane? And like, kind of technically it raised in price because they created the they created the OLED, didn't they? And I mean, the price cut was essentially the Switch Lite, wasn't it? Which is weird. But yeah. I mean, you had some deals here and there during certain seasons, didn't you? But I mean, yeah, it's one of the few, like I said, this is part of why I guess it's considered one of the greatest consoles ever, or in the conversation with like the PS2, in my opinion, because it was basically what was popular. Like, even after the announcement of its successor, we still got that one to do. Let's do that. Even after the announcement of, okay, we'll speak to this person first. Yeah, even after the announcement of the successor, it's still been selling decently well. Even outselling the Xbox, which is embarrassing for Xbox, obviously, but still.
Poor boy. You'll be knackered before the real work begins later on tonight.
Yeah.
I'm told you share a bedchamber with Tatienne. Did she say anything to you?
Yeah, it's a
Before she went missing.
yeah, I think it's going to be good, the Switch 2, because it's just going to be a straight upgrade, isn't it? More powerful. And obviously, my worry is that there's going to probably be a few more kind of probably times when there's going to be droughts with games here and there, because obviously one of the good things that the Switch had going for it is that it had all these Wii U games to just be ported, so that's why there's never really been a time when there's not been any games, big releases or any sort of releases, at least from Nintendo, that is.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
I tried to sneak into a room enough times.
I think,
got a scar over one.
yeah, it'll do well,
Claims he got it in battle.
but not as well.
You've been very helpful.
And yeah, I think the Switch, what makes it, like I said, what makes it so great was,
And you'll find her.
you know, just a simple thing of being able to be both a handheld and home console is amazing. Being able to have kind of a yeah, we're going to do that last bit there. We're going to do this other side quest first, obviously. Yeah, just having that option, because like, I've mainly played it as a home console myself, which is great because, you know, I like playing on a big screen personally, but it's so cool that I also have the option to play it handheld and take it with me, or just around the house, which is mainly what I do really, or just mainly just playing it in bed has been cool as hell, because that's pretty much what I used to do with my handhelds anyway. Yeah, I don't really take my Switch out or anything, mainly because I don't ever go out. Yeah, again, these guys are being dicks to us, if you can imagine that.
Don't bloody believe it. The bastard's wearing the moon and stars.
What is going on here, mate?
Strutting about like he owns the place.
Strutting about like he owns the place. Sorry, as an Englishman, I just love hearing English accents in games and media.
I dare say there's ways of finding out. How about it, Brandon? Care to show us how you earned that brooch?
I'd rather not.
Oh, no doubt. Only chivalrous souls that we are. Robin and I need to know the dame's being properly looked after.
Oh my god.
Fine. If it'll put your mind at ease.
I hope they mean not have to fight them, right? Because I'm not doing what I think they could potentially be suggesting here. I don't think Clive inclines that way. Inclines that way? I don't know what I meant there. Anyway. Yeah, I think they just want to fight me. Let's do this.
If that's what you want.
If that's what you want.
Cocky bastard. All right.
I mean,
Let's
I
be
can
happy
literally become like a god of fire, so yeah. You don't really want to fight me, mate.
Oh, and when you go crying to your mistress, tell her it was Leon who gave you the pounding. Use all the dirty tricks you want, all right? So you know one end of a blade from the other. Enough. I yield.
Goodbye. Yeah, kind of easy. Moral blow, 2 stars.
Fuck me.
No thanks.
Playing at, Leon? So it's a real challenge he wants, is it? Fine.
Is this a reference to the brothers from Final Fantasy 8, maybe? I don't know.
Had a bearer. Win the dame's favour anyway. I know when to hold my tongue for a start. You got potential. I'll give you that.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Da, 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 da. Yeah, obviously they're just regular fellas, aren't they? So they're going to be easy.
Can I go now?
Grieger's gash. The bastard didn't even break a sweat.
Grieger's gash?
The dame's man or no, he's still a branded. Best hope the sergeant never hears about this.
Yeah, not after the bullocking he gave us for missing drills. Might be the old sod had a point.
I'll leave you to it.
Yeah, good bloody riddance. At least we know the dame's in safe hands, I suppose.
Do us a favour. If you have to tell the dame about this, tell her we got a good few hits in, eh?
I mean, you know, I love random little side quests like this. It's just, for me, it's always just the funniest thing. Just like these interesting little stories you get, just to kind of, you know, flesh out the world a bit and all that.
Looking for a man? Does this look like a brothel, branded? Fuck off.
Hold your tongue. He wears the dame's brooch. One word from him and the Vale's doors will be barred to us for good.
There's only one man in the garrison with a dodgy eye. His name's Yannick. I haven't seen him.
Dodgy eye?
On account of him being in war.
Are they meant to be twins, these lads? They're just brothers, I don't know. Maybe the developers got lazy. You know, like, don't know if you've seen some like clips of the game Starfield, but there's times when, like multiple times where you just have the same model next to each other. Like you can have 3 or 4 the same person in the same area. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I played Starfield a little bit, and I don't know, I couldn't really get into it, but I'll have to give it another try. Apparently, it's coming to PlayStation soon, which, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. It should be good. I mean, it is, you know, I don't know, it wasn't the best Bethesda game because, you know, in my opinion, I just feel like, I don't know, it's just they haven't really improved it or kind of changed their formula in any way. It's like, you know, they after making like I guess Oblivion, they kind of just kept making the same game, really, and like stripping back more of them elements and stuff.
May cause more harm than good. The people of Moor are rather set in their ways. You'll find they have little love for bearers. And
Yeah, I noticed that already.
to report one such as you to the constabulary.
Constabulary? I've never used that word much. I'm going to start using that all the time now.
His name is
Completely out of context, just to see if anyone notices.
I shall return as soon as I find something.
Got my parcel on the way, if you care. Yeah, obviously, yeah, basically, I picked up a game. No, I got enough games. I picked up the movie Taffin, if you guys have heard of that. Basically, It's a movie with Pierce Brosnan where it's kind of famous for kind of a very kind of bad performance from him. Essentially, he says a load of lines in a very weird fashion. The famous one being where he talks about basically this lady says something and he responds by saying, "Well, maybe you shouldn't bloody be living here." And yeah, it's a really interesting movie because it's like it was a small indie movie he did that kind of got a bit of a cult following sorry, and its popularity improved or increased after he became Bond, basically, and yeah, is now kind of, like I said, a bit of a cult movie, and it's one that I'm looking forward to finally watching because I've heard great things about it. I've watched I think it was the Smirch Pod on it, Smirch Posh, which is the podcast by Smirch where they talk about different movies and stuff.
All right, where is he?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, yeah. Like a lot of others, I'm one of these people who enjoys a good bad movie. You know, I've watched a lot of the famous ones like Troll 2 and The Room and the like. Yeah. I think this bit's this one. Yeah, this isn't my favorite side quest, but yeah, we have to kill a beast apparently. Yeah, but yeah, my
The wolf! It's going to eat me!
my personal favorites.
Stay back. I'll deal with this.
But yeah, obviously, you know, I've watched a lot of reviews on some of these bad movies, a lot of the Neil Breen ones, for example. I did try going through Double Down, but yeah, I think Neil Breen movies are just I had to forward a lot of it, and it has some great moments, but yeah, some of the best ones. I think you know, The Room and Troll 2, for example, are very entertaining. Oh no.
Your father said you were being attacked.
You're not supposed to talk.
Yeah.
Stop looking at me like that. We were only having fun.
Having fun?
Yeah, so if you haven't got it,
Father will hear of this.
Basically, they essentially like to kill these bearers, or have the wolf kill bearers.
The wolf's work, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's not the wolf that's to blame.
Very, very messed up. Yeah, this whole section is
before it happens again.
It is a little dark. Yeah. But anyway, let's talk about The Room. But yeah, it's a really, really interesting bad movie, and I understand why it's got the legacy it has. It's definitely one that I think everyone should watch at least once. But yeah, I'm obviously Taffin is one I need to knock off on my list of good bad movies anyway. As well as obviously there was oh my god, I can't even remember the name of it. But yeah, obviously there's a number of bad movies, good bad movies I haven't watched yet. Yeah, it's a fine art, isn't it? The good bad movie, because there's a lot of those, like, if you've ever seen a Sharknado, for example, that's like I don't like him, Father. A very you know, I hate those movies that are trying to be bad movies. Like, those are they're always so shit, in my opinion. Like, when you're trying to be bad, it defeats the whole point. Because the art of a good bad movie is, you know, there's two types. It's either you know, it's either when someone is just completely incompetent at filmmaking, but wants to make a movie. It's either like the passion project they always want to make. They're just some amateur who managed to get a load of money. Like I said, like a lot of the Neil Breen stuff. The Room, for example, like that was really interesting because that's someone who doesn't know how to make a movie, but wanting to make some sort of like kind of drama, romantic kind of drama about how his wife betrays him, and it's perplexing because you're just like thinking, why the hell did they decide to do this? This makes no sense, blah blah blah. Or there's the other type, which is like the massive budget Hollywood movie where they've allowed someone just free reign to do what they want. Like one of my favorite examples of that is Batman and Robin. Like that is legit one of the best bad movies. Because obviously Batman Forever was obviously really successful, so they basically just kind of wanted to do the same thing again, but they went so far with the camp, and there were so many different hands, doing so many different things. Another good example of this is obviously Spider-Man 3 as well. That's another good one. It's funny how two of them are superhero movies. But yeah, there's yeah, there's a lot of those where it's just like the studios chuck a lot of money at a filmmaker, and just let them do what they want. Another one the one I was thinking of was Zardos. That's the one that, yeah, we're gonna bury these people. Yeah. We're not going to see it though. I mean, it'd be great if there was a mini game where you had to actually dig up graves, but no, we don't do that. These lot going to help us, thankfully.
It must be Clive.
But
You know my name.
yeah,
I'm in her service.
It's just giving a filmmaker all this money and giving them free reign, or almost always leads to a bad movie. And yeah, Zardos is a good example of that. Again, it's one that I haven't watched, but I've heard it's one of those bad movies you have to check out, because essentially, John Borman, I believe it was, did the movie Deliverance, which did really well. I've not watched it myself. It's basically like painting hillbillies as like evil or the Deep South. It's kind of a bit problematic in a way. I don't know. The whole like Deep South of America being kind of these crazy hicks has never sat right with me personally. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and other movies do this as well. I don't know. But that's a whole different discussion. But because of the success of that, he kind of was able to. He got a bit of clout and was able to make Zardos, which was kind of his take on. Like, I think I heard it described perfectly, where it's like it's him trying to do kind of a pretentious movie. It's clearly him trying to make something deep and like thinking it's making a point, but it just doesn't at all. But yeah, anyway, that's one I need to knock off on the list anyway of good bad movies. But yeah, that ends movie chat. Yeah, as you can see, they got the comeuppance.
Is this your doing?
Of course not. Wolves kill. It's in their nature.
Exactly.
Invite one into your home, he's going to tear your throat out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Same with bearers. Fed or not, they don't lack for fangs. What will folk do when they bite back, I wonder? The realm's nest two murderous bastards, and I won't mourn the loss. Here. For their help.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't have to.
that's true, but it kind of doesn't sit right with me.
You never know. Our paths may cross again.
Yeah, this is why I really like this game a lot, though. Even though this is, yeah, a bit kind of, a bit depressing. Yeah, basically, yeah, all the connotations. Still a really interesting thing. And yeah, this is part of why I really like this game, though. It's not afraid to go into these kind of areas and touch on these topics. Yeah, we're actually coming to time now anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna end it here for this episode. On a bit of a sad note, I guess, because of what we just witnessed. I mean, I'm sure some people are happy to see them perish, I suppose. People are happily doing something so cruel. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Yeah, and in the next episode, obviously, we're going to do this other side quest here, and then we're going to continue on with the main story. Yeah, obviously, as you can tell with this game already, there's kind of, you know, like I said, you have to really do these side quests. It's kind of a part of the game. Doing it on the way is kind of, you know, even like I said, even though they're side quests, they kind of really, it's world building and you kind of need to do it. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching as always. Thanks for watching as always, and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.